Return to Innsmouth. Written by Boris Gresh. Prologue. The nature of genealogical research is such that it often uncovers more than mere names and dates. It reveals the very essence of what shapes a lineage. My name is Liam Olmsted, an academic historian with a penchant for the arcane. I have dedicated my career to unearthing the mysteries that lurk in the shadows of history, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a relentless pursuit of knowledge. My research often takes me into the realms of the forgotten and the forbidden, where the lines between myth and reality blur, and where the past whispers its secrets to those willing to listen. I have spent countless hours in dimly lit libraries, poring over ancient tomes and manuscripts that crackle with age. My office is a cluttered sanctuary of old maps, yellowed papers, and esoteric artifacts, each piece a clue in the grand puzzle of human history. Chapter 1. Ancestral Echoes. Among my many interests, the enigmatic legacy of my own family has always held a special fascination. The Olmsteds, it seems, are a family entwined with shadows, their past marked by whispered rumours and unspoken fears. My great-grandfather, Robert Olmsted, is a figure of particular intrigue. An antiquarian and amateur genealogist, Robert's life took a dark turn in 1927 when his quest for ancestral knowledge led him to the decaying coastal town of Innsmouth. His infamous visit unearthed horrors that would forever haunt him and our family. The accounts he left behind, scattered notes, frantic letters, and a chilling narrative, paint a picture of a man who faced unimaginable terrors and survived to tell the tale, albeit barely. Robert's writings describe Innsmouth as a place shrouded in mystery and dread, its very air thick with an ancient and malevolent presence. His words speak of strange rites and eldritch beings, of a hidden underwater city called Untitled, and of a sinister pact between certain human families and otherworldly entities known as the Deep Ones. These accounts were so harrowing that they were dismissed by most as the ravings of a madman. Yet they were enough to cast a long, dark shadow over the Olmsted name, one that has lingered for nearly a century. My family's reticence to discuss Robert's experiences only fueled my curiosity. Growing up, I would overhear hushed conversations between my parents and grandparents, snippets of fear-laden tales that hinted at horrors lurking just beyond the veil of the ordinary world. These fragmented stories planted a seed of obsession in me, a need to uncover the truth that had been buried with Robert's fragmented mind. As I delved deeper into our family history, I discovered other disquieting details. There were rumors of disappearances, of strange, fish-like men seen near coastal villages, and of an unholy alliance that linked the Olmsteds to the dark depths of the ocean. My research led me to correspond with other historians and researchers, each adding pieces to the jigsaw puzzle. Some provided me with more fragments of Robert's accounts, others with cryptic references to ancient cults and forbidden knowledge. Despite the growing evidence of a sinister legacy, I was undeterred. My scholarly pursuits were not just academic, they were deeply personal. Each discovery was a step closer to understanding my family's true heritage, and to confronting the darkness that had haunted the Olmsteds for generations. My work became a quest for redemption, a way to reclaim our family name from the clutches of fear and superstition. My journey eventually led me to the decision to visit Innsmouth, to walk the same haunted streets that my great-grandfather had, and to face whatever truths lay hidden there. I knew it would not be easy. The town was still shrouded in mystery, its decaying buildings and secretive inhabitants guarding the secrets of the past. Yet I felt a compulsion, an almost supernatural pull, to uncover the truth. As I approached Innsmouth, a sense of foreboding enveloped me. The town appeared much as it had in the old photographs: weathered buildings, dilapidated wharves, and an omnipresent mist that clung to the streets like a shroud. The locals were reticent, their gazes averted and their words guarded. At the Gilman House, my lodging for the duration of my stay, the innkeeper's eyes lingered on me with a flicker of recognition that sent a chill down my spine. Each night, I was plagued by vivid visions of cyclopean architecture submerged beneath dark waters and grotesque beings with bulging eyes and scaly skin. These nocturnal terrors seemed to beckon me further into the abyss of my heritage. Days in Innsmouth passed in a haze of research and restless exploration. I pored over ancient texts in the town's musty library and ventured into the sequestered corners of the town, where shadows seemed to move, with a life of their own. It was during these forays that I met Elias Marsh, an elderly man with a face like weathered granite, and eyes that gleamed with a strange, almost predatory, intelligence. Elias spoke in hushed tones of the town's hidden history, revealing fragments of knowledge that had been passed down through generations. He spoke of the deep ones, beings that existed beyond the comprehension of modern science, and of the underwater city of Untitled, where these entities resided. His words were laced with a mixture of fear and reverence, as if he were reciting the verses of a dark gospel. Despite the terror these stories invoked, I felt an inexorable pull towards the depths Elias described. The sense of connection to my great-grandfather grew stronger, as if Robert's very spirit was urging me to follow in his footsteps. The pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place, leading me to the realization that my journey would not end on the surface but beneath the waves. With a sense of both dread and determination, I followed Elias' recommendation to secure the services of Captain Ahab Marsh, a descendant of one of Innsmouth's oldest families, to take me to Devil's Reef. Ahab was a man of few words, his grizzled appearance belying a keen intellect and a wealth of knowledge about the ocean and its secrets. His family, once prominent in the region, had fallen into obscurity, yet Ahab had managed to preserve their legacy in a most unexpected way. Ahab Marsh's possession of state-of-the-art submersibles and diving gear was no coincidence. Unlike the other inhabitants of Innsmouth who seemed trapped in the past, Ahab had embraced modern technology, using it to explore the ocean depths that his ancestors had feared and revered. Over the years, he had forged connections with marine researchers and private collectors, acquiring equipment that rivaled that of any advanced oceanographic institute. His interest in the ocean was as deep and personal as mine. The Marsh family, like the Olmsteds, had a long and complicated history intertwined with the sea. They were rumored to have made pacts with the deep ones, trading human lives for forbidden knowledge and treasures from the deep. These legends, half forgotten and shrouded in mystery, had driven Ahab to seek out the truth for himself. His modern equipment was a testament to his determination to uncover the secrets that lay hidden beneath the waves. Ahab's submersible, the Leviathan, was a marvel of engineering. Sleek and powerful, it was equipped with advanced sonar, high-resolution cameras and robotic arms capable of delicate manipulation. The interior was cramped but meticulously organized, filled with monitors and control panels that allowed Ahab to navigate the treacherous underwater terrain with precision. The diving gear he provided was equally impressive, featuring full-face masks with integrated communication systems and suits designed to withstand the extreme pressures of the deep. The preparations were meticulous, and Ahab's expertise was evident in every detail. As we descended into the depths, the Leviathan sliced through the dark waters like a blade, its powerful lights cutting through the murky gloom to reveal the alien world below. The sense of anticipation was palpable, a mix of fear and exhilaration as we approached the coordinates given to me by Elias. Beneath the surface, the ocean was a realm of strange beauty and unfathomable looming terror. Shape-shifting, bioluminescent creatures flitted and skittered through the darkness, their otherworldly glow casting ghostly shadows. The underwater landscape was a surreal expanse of jagged rocks and deep chasms, a place where the normal rules of reality seemed to blur and bend. As we neared Devil's Reef, the titanic buildings of the underwater city of Untitled began to emerge from the darkness. Its cyclopean architecture, defying conventional geometry and logic, loomed before us like a relic from a forgotten age. The sense of foreboding that had haunted me since I first set foot in Innsmouth intensified, a primal fear that resonated deep within my bones. Amidst the towering spires and labyrinthine streets, we encountered the first inhabitants of this aquatic realm, the Deep Ones. Their presence was both awe-inspiring and horrifying. I was intrigued they showed no signs of hostility, but even so, their forms, a grotesque amalgamation of human and aquatic features, triggered Ian's old instincts of flight or fight. Like frozen in time, I sat there next to Ahab. He urged me on to get into my suit. I snapped out of my stasis. Still processing what I was experiencing and concealed in my deep-sea EVA suit, I stepped onto the elevator platform next to Ahab. Slowly, it lowered us into the dark depths below the Leviathan's belly. With limbs heavy as iron, I did my first steps into this unknown world. It was there, right at the city's entrance, that I encountered the most shocking revelation of all. Robert Olmsted, my great-grandfather, was still alive, now transformed into a hybrid being, neither fully human nor fully Deep One. As he emerged from the ranks of the shadowy silhouettes, I felt a sense of welcoming emanating from his eerie presence. Robert's transformation had not stripped him of his humanity entirely. His eyes, though altered, retained a spark of recognition and intelligence. He communicated with me, not through words, but through a profound psychic connection, conveying some of the secrets of Eontile's past. His tellings confirmed every dark legend I had encountered during my research about him and the Olmsted family line. The city was ancient, predating human civilization, and its inhabitants had once forged a pact with certain human families, including the Olmsteds and the Marshes, to ensure mutual survival. Listening to his thoughts echoing in our minds, we followed him, as he guided us deeper into the monolithic and otherworldly shimmering city. Chapter 2. The Streets of Eontile. Robert's psychic presence was both a comfort and a terror. His alien visage, though unsettling, bore the unmistakable features of my great-grandfather, softened by a connection that transcended the boundaries of human experience. He beckoned me to follow him deeper into the city of Eontile, a place that defied all earthly logic and yet thrummed with a life and vibrancy that was both ancient and eternal. As I followed Robert through the labyrinthine streets, I marveled at the cyclopean architecture that surrounded us. The buildings were constructed from a strange, iridescent material that shimmered in the dim light, casting an eerie glow that illuminated the city's underwater landscape. The structures seemed to grow organically from the seabed, their forms twisting and spiraling in ways that defied human engineering. It was a place of both alien beauty and profound otherness. We passed through bustling marketplaces where Deep Ones bartered goods both familiar and alien. Strange, bioluminescent fish and crustaceans were traded alongside curious artifacts and intricate jewelry made from unknown materials. The Deep Ones moved with a grace that belied their grotesque forms, their movements fluid and purposeful. It was a thriving community, a civilization with its own culture and traditions, hidden beneath the waves. Robert communicated with me through images and emotions, conveying the daily life of the Deep Ones. They were a deeply spiritual people, their existence intertwined with the rhythms of the ocean and the cycles of the moon. Their rituals and ceremonies, though alien to me, were imbued with a sense of reverence and connection to the natural world. I witnessed a communal gathering where they sang hauntingly beautiful hymns in a language that seemed to resonate with the very essence of the ocean. As we explored further, I began to notice familiar figures among the Deep Ones, humans who, like my great-grandfather, had been transformed. Some were recent converts, their bodies still retaining much of their human form, while others had fully embraced their new existence, their features indistinguishable from those of the native Deep Ones. It was here that I realized that Ahab Marsh was no stranger to the citizens. His presence a stark reminder of the intertwining fates of our families. Ahab moved with a confidence that spoke of familiarity. This was not his first visit to Eontile. He had been coming here for years, drawn by the same inexorable pull that had led me to Innsmouth. Ahab's involvement with the population was deeper than I had realized. He was not merely a guide but a liaison, a bridge between our world and theirs. He had been instructed to bring me here, to fulfill a destiny that had been set in motion long before my birth. As we walked, Robert conveyed to me the story of Ahab's descent into the depths. He had been a young man when he first encountered the Deep Ones, his curiosity piqued by the same legends and rumors that had drawn me. His initial fear had given way to fascination, and over time he had formed a bond with the inhabitants of Untitled. Ahab had become a crucial link in the chain of human Deep One relations, ensuring the continued exchange of knowledge and resources. We came upon a grand plaza, its center dominated by a massive statue of an enormous deity, its features both awe-inspiring and terrifying. The plaza was filled with Deep Ones engaged in various activities, children playing games that involved intricate patterns of light and shadow, artisans crafting exquisite pieces of art, and scholars poring over ancient tomes and scrolls. It was a scene of vibrant, thriving life, starkly contrasting with the decay and desolation of Innsmouth above. Despite the wonders I witnessed, a growing sense of unease crept over me. I turned to Robert, my mind filled with questions. Where were we going? What was the purpose of this journey? Robert's response was a flood of images and emotions, conveying both anticipation and reverence. He was taking me to meet someone of great importance, someone who held the key to our family's past and future. We descended into the deeper recesses of the city, the architecture becoming more ornate and ancient. The path led us to a grand temple, its entrance guarded by imposing statues of warriors and sentinels. The air was thick with a sense of sacredness, and I felt a chill run down my spine as we entered. The interior was vast and dimly lit, the walls adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes of ancient history and mythology. At the heart of the temple, seated on a throne of coral and precious stones, was the Alay, Robert's great-grandmother and a matriarch of the Deep Ones. Her form was gigantic. I learned that the immortal Deep One's body never stops growing. Pictures of titanic entities came to my mind, of Deep Ones several thousand years of age. The Alay's presence was commanding, her eyes glowing with an ancient wisdom that seemed to pierce through the veil of time itself. She was a being of immense age and power, her form both beautiful and terrifying. Her scales shimmered with an otherworldly light, and her gaze held a depth of knowledge that was both awe-inspiring and humbling. The Alay spoke directly into my mind, her voice a soothing, yet it vibrated in strange nuances. I had never heard anything like it. She welcomed me as a long-lost kin, her words weaving a tapestry of our shared history. She spoke of the ancient pact between our families, a bond forged in blood and spirit that transcended the boundaries of human and Deep One. She revealed the true nature of our lineage, a legacy that had been hidden from the world above. As the Alay's words washed over me, I felt a profound sense of belonging and understanding. The shadows that had haunted my family for generations were not merely a curse, but a bridge to a greater reality. My journey had led me to the heart of this ancient civilization, and in doing so, I had uncovered the truth of my heritage. The path ahead was uncertain, but I knew that I was not alone. My great-grandfather, Robert, and the enigmatic Ahab Marsh were my guides in this strange new world, and together we would uncover the wonders that lay hidden in the depths. Chapter 3. The Order of the Silver Dawn. The meeting with the Alay was a profound and humbling experience, her ancient wisdom shedding light on the enigmatic ties that bound our families together. As her words wove the intricate tapestry of our shared history, I felt a deep sense of belonging and purpose. This ancient matriarch of the Deep Ones was not just a figure of reverence, but a guardian of secrets that spanned millennia. Ahab Marsh had left us some hours ago, but Robert was still by my side. However, just as the revelations were beginning to sink in, the tranquil atmosphere of the temple was shattered. A sudden explosion of fire and lightning burst through the grand hall, followed by the sound of distant explosions. The ground trembled, and the eerie tranquility of Eontile gave way to chaos. Panic erupted among the Deep Ones, their movements frantic and disoriented. I turned to Robert, whose expression mirrored my own shock and confusion. The Ala's eyes narrowed with a mix of anger and concern, her mind voice urging us to stay close. The source of the disturbance quickly became apparent. An intruder clad in futuristic armor, shimmering with an unnatural glow, appeared at the entrance of the temple. The armor was sleek and segmented, adorned with symbols that pulsed with an ethereal light. In the intruder's hand was a weapon that defied categorization, a blend of arcane magic and technology that crackled with raw energy. "Order of the Silver Dawn," the intruder proclaimed, their voice amplified by some unseen device. "We come to cleanse this place of your abominations." As the words echoed through the hall, more figures emerged from the shadows, all clad in similar armor and wielding weapons of equally strange and formidable design. The Order of the Silver Dawn had arrived, their intentions clear and malevolent. These technomancers, wielding a blend of advanced technology and arcane magic, sought to annihilate the Deep Ones and claim the underwater city for themselves. Panic spread like wildfire. Deep Ones and transformed humans alike scrambled for cover as the invaders launched their assault. Blasts of energy and bolts of lightning arced through the temple, shattering the intricate carvings and sending shards of stone flying. In the ensuing chaos, I was separated from Robert and the Ala, the crowd surging like a living tide around me. I found myself pushed into a side corridor, the sounds of battle echoing all around. My heart pounded as I searched for a way to regroup with the others, but the maze-like structure of the city made it nearly impossible. Suddenly, a figure lunged at me from the shadows, clad in the same futuristic armor. In the ensuing struggle, the visor of the assailant's helmet shattered, revealing a pair of fierce, determined eyes. "Hold on, I'm here to help," the warrior shouted, mistaking me for a prisoner of the Deep Ones. Their voice was strong yet tinged with desperation. Before I could react, another technomancer rounded the corner, his weapon aimed directly at me. In an instant, my would-be rescuer threw themselves between me and the attacker, taking the brunt of the blast. The impact was devastating. The warrior's armor sparked and smoked, and he crumpled to the ground, grievously wounded. I rushed to his side. The attacker, confused by my actions and his mistake, died a second later, hit in the head by a stray bullet of the Deep One's deadly weaponry. My mind was racing. As I knelt beside the stranger, I realized that my savior was a woman. Her face, though contorted with pain, was strikingly beautiful, her features strong yet delicate. "We need to move," she gasped, her voice weak. "They won't stop until we're both dead." With a surge of adrenaline, I lifted her into my arms, her weight surprisingly light despite the armor. Desperation fueled my movements as I navigated the chaos, searching for a place to hide. I remembered the area where humans on the verge of transformation resided, a section of the city less frequented by both Deep Ones and technomancers at the moment, and filled with breathable air. We reached a secluded alcove, its entrance obscured by a curtain of bioluminescent algae. Inside, the atmosphere was calmer, the walls adorned with delicate coral formations and softly glowing plants. I gently laid the woman down, her breathing shallow and labored. She introduced herself as Abigail Blackwood, a name that seemed to carry an air of nobility and strength. "Thank you," she whispered, her eyes meeting mine. "I didn't expect to find an ally here, especially not among the Deep Ones." Her words were a stark reminder of the twisted fate that had brought us together. Here we were, enemies by circumstance, drawn together by a cruel twist of fate. The attraction between us was undeniable, an instant connection that transcended the chaos around us. As I tended to her wounds, I realized that her life was hanging by a thread, and I would need to find a way to save her. Abigail explained that the Order of the Silver Dawn was a secretive cult of technomancers, their mission driven by a fanatical belief in their own superiority. They sought to eradicate the Deep Ones, which they saw only as monsters, and seize control of their underwater realms, using their blend of technology and magic to achieve their goals. The attack on Untitled was part of a larger plan, a campaign of annihilation that threatened not only the Deep Ones but also any humans allied with them. I told her that the population of the city was peaceful, and the hateful doctrine of the Order had become blind to their own cruelness and corruption. The revelation that some of the Deep Ones were former human beings shook her to the core. I tried to help her cope with what she just learned, gave her some comforting words, and realized after a few minutes that she had lost consciousness again, and given the blood on my hands, she was still losing too much of it. As the gravity of the situation sank in, I knew that time was of the essence. Abigail's wounds were severe, and without proper treatment, she would not survive. I needed to find something, some way to save her. My mind raced through the possibilities, recalling the various artifacts and technologies I had seen in the city. There had to be something that could help. With a sense of urgency, I made my way through the hidden pathways of Untitled, searching for a solution. The city's unique blend of ancient knowledge and advanced technology offered hope, but with the ongoing attack of the Silver Dawn it also posed a challenge. I needed to navigate this dangerous situation, find the means to heal Abigail, and uncover the deeper truths that lay hidden beneath the surface. As I embarked on this perilous quest, I felt the weight of my family's legacy pressing down on me. The shadows of the past were ever present, their influence shaping my every step. But amidst the darkness, there was also a glimmer of hope, a chance to forge a new path, to rewrite the story of the Olmsteads and the Deep Ones, and to find a way to save the woman who had risked her own life to protect me. Chapter 4. The Hidden Enemy. Navigating the city of Untitled in the throes of conflict was a perilous endeavor. The water was thick with tension, the once serene streets now echoing with the sounds of battle. I moved with a sense of urgency, my thoughts consumed by the need to save Abigail. The sprawling underwater city, once a marvel of ancient wonder, had become a battleground, and every corner seemed to harbor new dangers. As I pressed on, I stumbled upon Robert, who had been searching for me amidst the chaos. His relief was palpable, his presence a beacon of familiarity in the turmoil. He took one look at my determined expression and the urgency in my voice as I explained Abigail's plight. "She saved my life," I said, my voice resolute. "We have to help her." Robert nodded, his eyes reflecting both concern and determination. "Then let's not waste any time." We made our way back through the labyrinthine corridors, the city's organic architecture now a maze of confusion and conflict. As we approached the area where I had hidden Abigail, we slowed, hearing voices around a corner. Robert gestured for silence, and we crawled closer, eavesdropping on the conversation. A group of Deep Ones was speaking in hushed tones, their words revealing a chilling truth. They were discussing the orchestrated nature of the attack, their disdain for the ancient pact with the surface world evident in every syllable. "The Order of the Silver Dawn was never our true enemy," one of them hissed. "We led them here and made them believe this was their holy crusade. Now, in the chaos, and after the humans attacked us, our leaders will rise in anger and take our rightful place above." My heart pounded as the implications of their words sank in. This conflict, this devastation, was not the result of an external threat but a betrayal from within. A faction of Deep Ones, discontent with the ancient pact and yearning for dominance, had orchestrated the entire conflict. They had manipulated the Order into believing their actions were righteous, all while planning to use the chaos and hatred for the attackers to break free from their underwater confines and assert their power on land. The revelation was a staggering blow, shattering my perception of the war. The lines between ally and enemy blurred, and I found myself caught in a web of deceit and ambition. Robert's expression hardened as he absorbed the truth. "We must protect the ancient ways," he whispered, his voice filled with resolve. "This treachery cannot go unpunished." We continued our journey, more cautiously now, every shadow a potential threat. Eventually we reached the alcove where Abigail was hidden. Her breathing was shallow, her wounds severe. Robert examined her briefly before producing a small, intricate device. "This is a stasis field. It will suspend her in time," he explained, carefully placing the device on her arm. "It won't heal her injuries, but it will buy us time." As the field activated, encasing Abigail in a shimmering field of light, another attack erupted. Energy blasts ricocheted off the walls, and I braced myself for the worst. The treacherous deep ones we eavesdropped on a few minutes ago had followed us. As they approached us with raised weapons, I closed my eyes waiting for the deadly shot that would end my life. But then a familiar roar filled the water, and a massive shape emerged from the gloom, the Leviathan. Ahab Marsh, his eyes alight with determination, piloted the vessel with expert precision. The ship was far more than just an exploration vessel. Its sleek form had extended its hidden weaponry, and Ahab unleashed a barrage of glowing green projectiles, devastating the attackers in front of us and sending the survivors retreating back into the city behind them. Ahab signaled us to get in as he maneuvered the Leviathan closer. Robert and I scrambled aboard, carrying the stasis field with Abigail inside. Ahab shouted from his piloting chair, "Why are the deep ones attacking us?" Knowing the Leviathan as if it were a part of himself, he pushed the vessel to its limits, diving deep into the ocean's abyss. The city of Untitled receded into the murky distance, the turmoil fading as we descended into the unknown. "It is treason from within," Robert explained, full of rage. "We need to find a safe haven," Ahab replied, his voice grim. Robert nodded, his eyes fixed on the dark waters ahead. "I know someone who can help us," he said. "Someone deep within the abyss. An old ally who understands the balance we must maintain." The Leviathan plunged deeper, the light from the surface barely a memory. My thoughts raced, torn between the urgency of Abigail's condition and the revelations we had uncovered. The true enemy lay not in the Order of the Silver Dawn, but within the very heart of the Deep One Society. Our path was fraught with danger, but it was clear that the fight was far from over. As we ventured further into the depths, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were heading towards an uncertain fate. Yet, amidst the darkness, there was a flicker of hope. With Robert's guidance and Ahab's resolve, we would confront the hidden enemy and seek the aid we so desperately needed. The delicate balance between our worlds depended on it. Chapter 5. The Ancient Deep. The deeper we ventured into the abyss, the more I felt an unsettling transformation begin to take hold of my body. At first, it was just an odd sensation, a prickling on my skin. But as I examined myself more closely, I noticed the faint outline of scales starting to form along my arms and legs. My breath quickened with panic, but before I could voice my fears, Robert placed a hand on my shoulder. "It's the depth," Robert said quietly. "The presence of the Ancient One accelerates the transformation." My heart pounded. "You knew this would happen?" Robert nodded, his expression filled with a mix of sorrow and guilt. "I should have told you earlier, but there was no other way. The Ancient Deep One we are seeking, one of the oldest beings in existence, has a presence so powerful that merely being near him hastens our transformation." I stared at him, feeling a mixture of betrayal and acceptance. The changes were already happening. There was no turning back now. By the time we return to Untitled, it'll be too late for us to go back to the surface? "Yes," Robert confirmed. "You will have fully transformed. Your old lives will be gone forever." Ahab, ever the stoic, let out a dry chuckle. "Well, I always knew I'd end up staying in the ocean someday. Didn't think it'd be today, though." His comment, tinged with irony, lightened the heavy atmosphere just enough to keep us moving forward. The Leviathan descended deeper into the trench, the water growing darker and colder with each passing moment. Finally, we reached a cavern so vast it seemed to stretch into eternity. In the center of this abyssal realm, the ancient Deep One awaited. The Titan was a colossal being, his form almost indistinguishable from the surrounding darkness. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and his presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. He radiated an ancient power that seemed to vibrate through the water, resonating with every fiber of my being. Robert approached the Titan and bowed deeply. "Great One, we seek your aid. A human woman, Abigail Blackwood, is gravely injured. We need your magic to save her." The ancient Deep One's voice echoed through our minds, a deep, resonant sound that seemed to bypass our ears entirely. "Bring her forth." We placed the stasis chamber before the Titan, and he extended a massive hand over it. A soft, luminescent glow enveloped Abigail, and slowly her wounds began to heal. Her transformation had begun, and like mine, her body had started to show the first characteristics of the Deep Ones. Robert took a step forward, desperation in his voice. "Great One, will you help us fight against the treacherous faction in Eon-Tile? They threaten the balance between our worlds." The Titan's eyes narrowed, and for a moment I felt the weight of millennia in his gaze. "The balance will be restored by those who are meant to protect it. She is all you need." With that, the Titan's form began to dissolve into the surrounding water, leaving us with a sense of profound emptiness and a renewed sense of purpose. Abigail stirred within the stasis chamber, and as Robert deactivated the field, her eyes fluttered open. "Liam," she whispered, her voice weak and trembling. I rushed to her side, taking her hand in mine. "I'm here, Abigail. You are safe now." Her eyes, still heavy with the remnants of pain, darted around in confusion. As her gaze settled on her own body, she noticed the changes, the scales, the slight webbing between her fingers. Panic took hold of her, and she pulled away from me, her breath coming in rapid, shallow gasps. "What is this?" she cried, her voice rising in hysteria. "What's happening to me? What have they done?" Tears streamed down her cheeks as she looked at me, her eyes wide with fear. I felt a sharp pang of guilt and sorrow. I had to reach her, to calm her down, but the sight of her distress tore at my heart. "Abigail, listen to me," I said, my voice firm but gentle. I took her hands again, despite her attempts to pull away. "We're both changing. It's a part of this world, part of us now. But I promise, you're not alone. I'm here with you. We'll face this together." Her sobs continued, her body shaking with fear and confusion. She looked at our intertwined hands, seeing the changes mirrored on my skin. For a moment, her panic seemed to intensify, and I feared I might lose her to the overwhelming horror of our situation. "Abigail," I said again, more urgently, "look at me. We are not becoming monsters. We are evolving, adapting to this new life. And we have each other. I will never leave your side, no matter what." Her eyes searched mine, seeking assurance. Slowly, the hysteria in her gaze began to fade, replaced by a fragile hope. She took a deep, shuddering breath, trying to steady herself. The tears still flowed, but there was a flicker of resolve in her expression. "Liam," she said softly, her voice breaking, "I'm scared." I pulled her into an embrace and whispered, "And so am I, but we'll get through this together." We stayed like that for a while, clinging to each other in the darkness of the abyss. The weight of our transformation, the uncertainty of our future, it all seemed bearable as long as we were together. Finally, she pulled back slightly, wiping her tears with a trembling hand. "What now?" "Now," Robert interjected, his voice steady and reassuring, "we return to Untitled. There is still much to be done, and we need to end this conflict once and for all." With renewed determination, we prepared to ascend from the depths. The Leviathan began its journey back, guided by Ahab's expert hands. Abigail and I sat together, her hand tightly gripping mine, as we braced ourselves for the battles that lay ahead, both within the city and within ourselves. Chapter 6. The Balance Restored. We arrived in Untitled to find the city still engulfed in conflict. The Deep Ones were on the verge of victory, but pockets of resistance from the Order of the Silver Dawn remained, their determination unyielding. The Leviathan maneuvered through the chaos, Ahab skillfully guiding us between the front lines. As we emerged, I stood beside Abigail, feeling the eyes of both Deep Ones and humans upon us. I raised my voice, calling for attention. "Stop this madness. The true enemy is not the Order of the Silver Dawn. It is a faction within our own ranks, manipulating both sides for their gain." The revelation sent shockwaves through the gathered forces. The Deep Ones, realizing they had been used, faltered. Their morale shattered as they grasped the depth of the deception. The warriors of the Silver Dawn, seeing their supposed enemies in a new light, hesitated but did not lower their weapons. Murmurs of doubt and confusion rippled through their ranks. One of the Silver Dawn leaders stepped forward, his eyes filled with suspicion. "Why should we believe you? This could be another trick." Abigail took a step forward, her voice filled with both pain and resolve. "I was one of you a day ago," she began, her words causing a ripple of shock among the Silver Dawn as some of the soldiers recognized her. "But I was saved by Liam and his kin. The truth is, many of the Deep Ones were humans once. Transformed, yes, but still capable of humanity, of understanding." The Silver Dawn warriors looked at each other, their resolve wavering. Abigail continued, her voice growing stronger. "We've been fighting the wrong enemy. The true enemy is the faction within Untitled that has been manipulating us all. We must stop this senseless conflict and find a way to coexist." There was a moment of silence as both sides absorbed her words. The Deep Ones, shamed by the treachery within their own ranks, called for a ceasefire. But the Silver Dawn hesitated, their mistrust deeply ingrained. One of their commanders, a stern-looking woman with a hardened expression, stepped forward. "How can we trust you? How do we know this isn't a trap?" Robert, stepping beside Abigail, spoke with a calm authority. "We have no reason to deceive you. The ancient Deep itself confirmed the treachery within our ranks. We want peace, not destruction. Your crusade was based on lies, but we can end this together." The stern commander scrutinized us, weighing our words. Finally, she nodded, lowering her weapon. "If what you say is true, then we have indeed been fighting the wrong battle. We will retreat, but know this: any further deceit will be met with retribution." The other Silver Dawn warriors, seeing their leader's decision, began to lower their weapons as well. The tension of the situation dissipated, replaced by a cautious hope. The battle ended not with a final, bloody clash, but with an understanding that the true path to peace lay in unity and acceptance. As the dust settled, Abigail and I were hailed as the saviors of our new home Untitled. The city, though scarred by conflict, began the slow process of healing. We had found a new home in this underwater realm, a place where we were not just accepted but celebrated. In the days that followed, as Abigail and I fully embraced our new forms, we stood together at the center of Untitled, our hearts filled with hope and confidence. Our journey had transformed us in ways we could never have imagined, but it had also forged an unbreakable bond between us. We were no longer bound by the shadows of our past, but united by the promise of a brighter future. And in the depths of the ocean, beneath the waves that had once seemed so alien, we found our true home, a place where we could begin anew, where we get never old and live forever.